All right, so I already know that like maybe three people are gonna watch this. So here's to you, three people of YouTube. Um, what YouTube has done, right, is they've essentially taken the idea from TikTok or from Instagram or whatever they did, and they created YouTube Shorts, right? And I firmly believe that YouTube Shorts will eventually outweigh TikTok. I think TikTok is going to get shrouded in too much bullshit, too much, it's for kids, not for kids. It's for porn, it's not for porn. And eventually, TikTok is just going to take like TikTok is going to be MySpace one of these days, sooner than later. I see it within the next few years. But YouTube Shorts will take over because what YouTube Shorts has done is and there's a whole science behind this. What they do is they prey on your emotions, and they prey on it in such a way that you can actually dive into these videos because they're strategically set up to not only cater to your interests, because that'll only hold your interest for so long. Like I like skateboarding, but I'm not gonna watch 70,000 videos about skateboarding. Eventually, I'm gonna give up. Right? Eventually, I'm gonna go do something else. So to keep you into it, what they do is they prey on your emotions by mixing that with your interests. So in that way, you stay locked in. Right? So let's say that the only thing you give a fuck about is skateboarding. Let's say skateboarding, right? So then you get a couple of skateboarding videos. Sick grind, bro. Cool boards, whatever. And then you get, the cop is, pulls over a black guy and he's giving him a bunch of hell. And then they know that you live in Washington. And so they know it's a very democratic state. They know for a fact that there's a lot of anti-police sentiment in that area. So they drive that towards you because you're conditioned by your environment to understand that cops shouldn't abuse their authority and whatever else. And in a lot of other states, it's not like that. People are very pro-police, right? So if you were in one of those other pro-police states, then they'll push out these videos to you in those states that show the cop pulling somebody over just to give him $100 and tell him to have a nice day or whatever, like real pro-police type shit. And then they'll switch to the cute little kitty cat. Meow. Meow. And then it hits that sensor in your brain. You start getting emotional. And maybe you have kids, so maybe you're more, prone to the cutesy videos. Maybe that just interests you more or whatever. And then it'll go to the World Star fight video of a couple of black dudes in a parking lot fighting each other or whatever. And maybe that's just what all the people around you are watching. So maybe that's what they just assume that you know what I mean? Like, and I think it's all calculated. I think it's all very specific. I think that when you scroll through YouTube Shorts and it's like completely different things, it's politics, it's music, it's industry, it's, construction, it's whatever. I think that all that is very carefully calculated. I do not think it's more or less random videos guided by a central algorithm. I don't believe that for a second. So, but the other thing that they do, and it has to do with the celebrities, is that the celebrities will go on and they'll do the only job that they know how to do. They'll get in front of a screen and they'll tell you about the woes of the world and what you can do to change it. Excuse my nose. I was just outside. It's very cold. But what bothers me about that, right, is that you take somebody like Jim Carrey, right? Jim Carrey is one of my fucking idols. I love the guy. I've watched every one of his movies multiple times. I'm a huge fan. Now, Jim Carrey, if he were to get up there and say, you guys, the climate is changing. We need to be serious about this, right? We need to get the plastic out of the oceans. We need to cut down on carbon emissions. We need to do all this, so on and so forth. Your natural instinct is going to go, I love that guy. Of course I'm going to do what you say because I want to be like you. I'd love to be a celebrity as well. That's our internal clock ticking. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be a part of that circle. And this is the small, insignificant way, but significant to me, that I can connect to my celebrity idol. Now, it's all fake. It's all very false because, for one, Jim Carrey will never get a hold of me and ask me how I'm doing. Jim Carrey does not give a fuck about Bodhi. But Jim Carrey also may not give a fuck about climate change. He may be getting millions of dollars just for putting out that ad. I mean, there's any number of things, right? So you can't really trust. This is the reason I say all this. You can't trust a celebrity's intentions because they are oftentimes false in the first place. They're oftentimes just a money grab. That's all it is, right? But on the other end of that, how hypocritical and ironic is it that somebody with $500 million in the bank is telling me, a guy who makes $40 an hour, that I need to change. I need to do better. When I'm not the one taking private jets anywhere. I'm not the one driving big, fancy, fast cars that get 4 miles to the gallon. I'm, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing any of those things. I'm not even taking commercial flights, right? I don't use Amazon. I don't use Uber Eats. I don't use any of that shit. Like, the only carbon footprint that I make as an American male is the food that I buy at a grocery store that I cook myself and I throw in the trash, the recycling that I put in the recycling, and driving an old Jeep that gets 16 miles to the gallon. You know, and if I could have a newer car that got better gas mileage, I would, but I can't afford it. But Jim Carrey can. Jim Carrey could buy me 70,000 Honda Civics that get 50 miles to the gallon and just give me a couple of them. And it wouldn't even touch his bank account. It wouldn't even matter. It wouldn't even make a slightest little bit of difference. It wouldn't do shit. It would be like a tip to a waitress. Somebody like that could change my entire life dramatically. And it wouldn't even show in his checkbook. It wouldn't even matter. He could give me $1 million today, and he'll make that money back in a month off of royalties of a movie that he starred in 30 years ago. Right? So, like, the guys that have all the money, they are the ones that can actually make the difference. But you never see them actually doing the work. You never actually see them changing shit and making a real effort. But you glorify them. You know, you're like, but Jim Carrey's such a nice guy, and he's just so wonderful, and he's got such great things to say. Ha ha. Well, and then you go shit on somebody like Elon Musk. And Elon Musk has been doing nothing but trying to preserve the world, give us better options for a different world, and make our life better and more efficient and less costly here in America, here in the world, across the world. But he's the bad guy because he's the big bad billionaire. Like, you have been so conditioned by these stupid little videos that you see all the time, because I see it everywhere. Every stoplight I go to, every public area, people are walking like this on their phones, walking across the street, not paying attention. They could easily just get smashed by a car, and they wouldn't care because they got to know what Facebook says. They got to know what Instagram says. Got to know what Twitter says. So my point is that for the 3 people that may or may not watch this, is that they have done this as a way to enslave you to your phone. And the reason they want to do that is because it takes your attention away from all the other things that need your attention, right? Because you can only solve a problem by paying attention to it. You know, first step is understanding that there is a problem, and second step is trying to figure out a solution to that problem, and the third step is enacting the best solution. All of which requires, number 1, your attention. So the more attention is brought away from the things in your life that deserve the attention, the less you're going to do about it. Right? So if you were the powers that be, and you don't care about people, you don't care if they die, you don't care if their kids get sick and pass away, you don't care if their dog dies, you don't care about shit. You just care about money, you care about your bottom line. What do you want? You want a whole generation, or multiple generations, of people that will just do what you fucking tell them to do. Right? They tell you, go to work, pay your taxes, raise a family, and shut the fuck up. Because that's all I care about. They don't want your stupid voice on YouTube like, all these politicians, we need term limits and we need this. They don't want that shit. They don't care. They don't want you to fuck with their system. They want to control the world the way they want to. And if your attention is somewhere else, then it cannot be on them. And if we all realized, as a sole propriety, if we all realized that this is the case, right? We all got together. We all use this amazing technology we have to actually conversate with each other and actually figure out a solution. Go back through that thing. Understand that there's a problem, figure out a solution, enact the best efficient solution in order to solve the problem. If we all got together, millions of Americans, I mean, there's nothing we couldn't do. There's nothing. And we'd get over all the bullshit. But that's the other thing too. You think about all the things that separate us, right? They're all bullshit. None of them matter. None of them have any kind of have nothing to do with anything that matters at all, right? Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness has nothing to do with your skin color or your gender or who you sleep with or any of those. None of it fucking matters at all. But you've been conditioned to think that it does. You watch YouTube and you see the cute little, you see the cute little kitty video, and then you see the, Congress has just elected the first transgender, black, pansexual, fucking whatever person, crazy hair and fingernails, and it's gonna run the state of Washington or run Oregon or whatever it is. And your initial reaction is like, that's not what it's supposed to be, so that's wrong. Or you're like, that's what it is supposed to be and it's what it deserves to be, so that's right. And then you hate the guy who says it's wrong and you love all the people that say it's right. But you also assimilate with those people that you fundamentally look like and understand and have the same culture, have the same, you relate in that way, right? So not only are you being subdivided into groups based off of your interests or your opinions or your beliefs or your whatever, you're also being subdivided into groups because of your race or your gender or your quality as a person or whatever it is. And at the end of the day, it's all division. It's all shit that doesn't matter, but it's all stuff that divides us. So, sorry. God, this is a bad time to make a video. What we need to do collectively as a mass of people is to put aside our bullshit when it comes to what we look like or who we hang out with or how we wear our hair or whatever the case. If you've seen my videos, you know I got ridiculous, stupid hair that I never cut and I don't care about. So I rip it all back in a hat and I go about my day. Because I don't have a cultural connection to my hair, but a lot of people do. So if you want to spend 3 hours on your hair in the morning, wrapping your dreads up or your cornrows or your, and I don't want to make that sound like it's just for black people. I mean, for anybody, man, whatever it is that you want to wear, you want to do, makeup, the gowns, the headdress, whatever it is you want to do it. It doesn't affect me at all. I do not care. If I see a guy walking down the street in a dress, it doesn't faze me. And it shouldn't faze you. If you see a woman walking down the street in Carhartts and work bags, it shouldn't bother you. Because it has nothing to do with you. What it does have to do with is that these are other people that you live in the same region with. You guys all have to deal with the same kind of shit. You guys all have financial struggles. You guys all have family struggles. You guys all have dysfunction within your relationships. You guys all have these. You guys are all in the same boat. We're all here. We're literally all the same. For all the things that make us different, we're literally all the same. And once we realize that, and once we all band together and stop being so disconnected, which in large part is because of social media. Like when I was a kid, when I was younger, it was not uncommon for a stranger to just ask you or, hey, what's up, little man? How you doing? Get home safe, whatever. And it was cool. I remember one time I woke up early to get to school on time. I set my alarm clock an hour too early, and I showed up at my school at 5:30 in the morning and had no idea what the hell was going on because there was nobody there. So I'm 10 years old. I'm by myself in the middle of a very small town. And I walked to the nearest gas station, and the guy gave me a cup of coffee and told me what time it was and said, hey, just hang out here at the gas station for a little bit. I'll keep an eye on you. And then when you're ready, go to school. I'll let you know. So at 10 years old, I'm now hanging out with a stranger at a gas station, drinking a cup of coffee that nowadays parents would freak the fuck out, because it's so uncommon. And now it's like, you can't even talk to strangers walking down the street. You catch people off guard. Like, I'm married now. So I don't flirt. I don't go out of my way to talk to women. But I also don't really associate women as being potentials for me anymore. To me, women are they're just people. They're just out there doing their thing. So I don't change how I approach strangers based off their gender anymore. When I was single, I used to. Because if I saw a guy, I'm not attracted to guys, so it was just like seeing a person, whatever. But when I saw a woman, it was more of like, well, maybe there's a potential there, so maybe I'm going to act a little nicer or be a little bit more generous or whatever the case. I don't do that anymore, but I've noticed when I'm just genuinely nice to a woman, oftentimes they are fucking creeped out by it. Like, it's weird. Like, I hold a door open for somebody, or I say, oh, hey, hope your day's going well, have a good one. And they're like, the fuck? Like, they're scared. And it's like, because they've been so conditioned to think that men are just these terrible creatures that are just out there praying for women and whatever else. And that's not true. I mean, the majority of men out there are just good people. We're not all bad, but that's what you've been conditioned to think based off your social media and probably your surroundings. And I understand that women have a harder time, but it's also because men have been conditioned to think that that's how they need to act with women. This whole bro code thing happened a long time ago, and it kind of perpetuated this idea that if you wanted to get chicks, like if you wanted to just get laid, you just got to be a piece of shit. You just be an asshole. And women will gravitate towards the asshole. Right? And all those nice guys, they don't get any girls until later on when the women are already used up and they're all gross. So then at 30 or 35, then the nice guy finally gets his chance to have the hot girl. It's all these stupid cliches that make no sense. They're not applicable in the real world. And it's all bullshit. Every bit of it that you're fed every day is fucking lies. Am I exempt from this? No. I watch YouTube shorts all the time. But the difference is that I understand it. And I'm addicted to it too. I'm gonna lie about that. Anyway, okay, I'm done now. But if anybody actually does watch this, just understand that at the end of the day, what should be important to you is having your hand dipped in politics. As much as you hate it, as much as I hate it, you should have some sort of understanding about what's going on in the country and what's going on in your state. If you're not going to vote for the president, vote for your senator, vote for your governor. Vote for your legislation in your state. You should absolutely do that. And two, focus on yourself. Be nice to people. Hold a door open. Even if they shit on you for it, do it anyway. Because you will never go to jail for being a nice person. There's nobody in jail that was like, well, I just, helped a guy push his car out of the street and then I ended up in here. That never happens. It will never happen. And it has never happened. So be nice to people. And just treat everybody the way you want to be treated. And understand that we're all in the same boat. So when you walk in as a white guy, right, and you've got whatever it is on that you're wearing, and then you see a black guy or a Chinese guy or a Mexican guy or a whoever guy, and they're dressed differently than you, they're shorter than you, or they're taller than you, or they look different, or their hair's crazy, or they got painted fingernails, or whatever it is, none of that has anything to do with you. So don't let it affect your day, and don't make it affect their day. Unless they bring it, defend yourself, absolutely. If you're just being a white guy, just doing your thing and buying groceries, and somebody starts talking a bunch of shit, then knuckle up. But at the same hand, just understand that regardless of how different we might look or we might act or we might talk, we're all in the same boat. Some of us are a little bit more well off than others. That's just the name of the game. But at the end of the day, if you want to do well in this life, all you have to do is keep your head on straight, stay away from the drugs and the alcohol. Alcohol is a big one. Just because it's legal and it's on every street corner doesn't mean it's a good idea. Believe me, as like a 15-year drinker here, sober for 2 years, it's not all it's cracked up to be. I promise you that. Find something that you like doing, something that you're good at, and something that makes good money. If you fucking love serving burgers at Burger King, then be the best goddamn Burger King you can be. But understand that there's not a lot of money in it. Unless you manage 17 of them, you're not making good money. Me, I'm a concrete guy. I like doing concrete. It's hard work. It's hard on my body. It's hard on it's hard on my truck. Putting massive miles on my truck. It's a lot of time behind the wheel, driving to and from whatever job site I have to go to, which may be 30 miles away. It might be 60 miles away. It might be, stop and go traffic both ways. It might be biased traffic. I might be 2 hours away, but I'm against traffic the whole time, so I can just bomb at 70 miles an hour, no problem. Whatever it is. But so do that. Find the thing that you like doing and try to find something that you like doing that makes good money at the same time. And then once you do that, focus on yourself, focus on your family, focus on your hobbies, focus on things that make you happy. And you will in turn become a happier person. And you in turn will become more responsible. And you will live a more fulfilled life. And you will not spend your time, like me, bitching on YouTube about how shitty the world is. Because it doesn't change anything. It doesn't matter. Okay, that is trying to jump to a solution before understanding that there's a problem in the first place. You're skipping steps. It's a bad plan. And then you're trying to enact a solution that is not efficient by any stretch of the imagination whatsoever. It doesn't matter if you have 30 million followers. If Mr. Beast got on here and was like, we need to do better for climate change, nobody would give a shit. Nobody. They would talk like they do, and they'd respond, look at me, I'm fucking recycling. No. But it makes absolutely no difference whatsoever. Because nothing is actually changing. You have to actually change the things that you can while working on yourself to become better so that you can have a bigger footprint when it comes to changing the world. You can't, just like Jordan Peterson said, you can't change the world if you can't make your bed. Yeah. Love you guys.